whenever there is a crisis, tas ngayon ka mag-uumpisa, and I project markets coming from here, no, I'll tell you, easily yan, minimum ko 12%, compounded for 5 years. Minimum ko yan, 12%. I think we're going to be even doing more.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Ramper Financials, Managing Finances in Times of Crisis and Opportunity with our very own Mr. Rex Mendoza. We are really happy you're here. I hope you and your family continue to be safe and healthy during this COVID crisis. Alam niyo po, kami sa Ramper Financials, even before the enhanced community quarantine was implemented, we never stopped to think of ways on how to continuously serve our clients. So, just a few house rules lang po. To maintain the intimacy and exclusivity of this activity, may we request everyone not to record this webinar. This will be uploaded also soon sa YouTube namin, so abangan po natin yan. You may also drop your questions in the Q&A button below, and we will entertain at least 10 to 15 questions at the end of this webinar. Our Zoom setup po is, wala po talaga kayong mga audio and video. So, it's just the host speaking po and yung shared screen po namin. May nag-ask lang kanina sa chat box natin. So, thank you po for being very active this morning. So, I guess that's just about it for our house rules. So, allow me now to introduce the man of the hour. He is the President and CEO of Ramper Financials, the largest non-bank distributor of mutual funds in the Philippines. He is the lead independent director of 3 listed companies: Ayala Land, Globe Telecom, Ayala Land Logistics Holdings Corporation, National Reinsurance Corporation, and many, many more. He is also a member of Brother Bo Sanchez Mastermind Group and is cited by many as one of the best leadership and sales speakers in the country. So without further ado, let me turn the screen over to our Ramper's beloved President and CEO, our boss Rex Mendoza.
Hi everyone, good morning. Good morning to all of you. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. It's a Tuesday morning. Even if the market is not too exciting, we'll make it an exciting day for you. So Sila, hi! Kamusta ka? Naputol ka kanina?
Yes, boss. You know, we're in the Philippines. The internet connection is kind of...
We heard that, Sila, in the sauna. But before maputol ako, itutuloy ko na to, ha? So please, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you are all well today, and you're going to be in for quite a learning experience, no? What we'd want to do today to be able to differentiate this, no, compared to the typical, market updates, we'd really like to make this touch you personally, and that's the real reason why, in terms of just making a presentation on the market updates, we'd like to be able to take more of the conceptual and the fundamental side to this later on. Yes, tama po yun. We'd like to be able to make it personal. So, I guess all of us are interested with that, diba? Hindi naman natin gustong malaman lang ang mga nangyayari. We also want to know how we can act on what's happening and how we can position ourselves. Because I guess many of you are having very different views regarding what's happening. So, pardon me for doing this, but bibilisan ko po ang ating market update. For the people who want to make clarifications later on, we will have a Q&A anyway at the end of it. Because as far as we're concerned in Ramper, it is not exactly what's happening that's really important. It's what we do to what's happening. So it's very, it's of the utmost important that we take note of that. So, umpisahan po natin with consumer trends kasi hindi naman talaga markets lang ang real issue dito. It's really the consumer trends. What's impacting the Filipino? So, syempre, alam na po natin, low consumer and business confidence. Businesses are closed. Some are really closing down for good. So, pati sa consumer side, syempre, hindi tayo sigurado. Do we all keep our jobs? Are we getting pay cuts? The OFWs are coming home. They will also be losing part of those remittances. No, the families will be losing part of those remittances. So, medyo yung problema po na yon touches the economy at the very ground level. That differentiates this crisis from all the other crises, where big companies are more concerned about it, the big banks. Now it's really the common person. The financial situation is top of mind. Nakakagulat po ito. In the primary surveys that were done, people are thinking pala more of financial situations than their health and safety. Ulitin ko po yun. Health and safety ang ina-expect nating unang sagot dito. Pero alam nyo, nakakatuwa. People are more concerned about their financial situation. And when you do secondary questions, nahahati po sa dalawa. One side of it would be worried. Baka mawalan sila ng trabaho, baka magkulang yung kanilang pera, yung iba nga walang ipon. Where will they get the support? Will the government be able to provide it? But on the other side is even a more interesting note. Even people who are wealthy, people who have money, are thinking about their financial situation. But the mindset is different. The mindset is, how do I protect what I have worked for thus far? And that's very important. Kailangan po makita din natin na while we are doing well, while we are somehow way ahead in terms of just spending for our needs, we're also worried about how our values will go kasi asset classes are getting attacked. Many of us are wary about limitations and the conveniences of this quarantine. Stores getting closed, limited hours on the stores, some have curfews, and the inconveniences of not having public transport and stuff like that. So meron din pong issues doon. Strong push towards digital, I think we all understand that. GCash and Mint have actually said 700 times ang increase ng kanilang valuations. So talagang very important na malaman natin na, the new normal will really be different. And even if we say we open up later on, if we do have a vaccine, many of the things will change the way we carry on with our lives. Lastly, Pilipino pa rin ho tayo. And this is the most important part of those surveys. Na pag tinanong mo pala ang Pilipino, how do they feel about, how their lives are gonna be in the next 12 months? 100% po, people are optimistic. People know that in 12 months, things are gonna be different. People know that this thing will come to pass. People are worried, depressed, and there's so much anxiety currently. But later on, if you make them think about 12 months pa lang not even 3 years, not even 5 years. In 12 months, they know that lives will actually change for the better. So, if we translate that to market impact, what has happened? Nakakatuwa po, an ECQ that we thought will last for about 2 weeks or a month at best is now like over 4 months. 135 days na po tayo of quarantine protocols. And hopefully, we can be in MGCQ soon. Pero may mga balita na baka magiging balik sa MECQ. So, however that's gonna be, will impact markets. And let me tell you that, if some of you have listened to me in a recent presentation or a recent webinar for an insurance company, for a real estate company, most of those updates have actually turned for the worse. Nag-recover po tayo after dropping by 41%. Fastest drop ever for any crisis thus far. Talo pa ho yung 1930s. 41% in a period of 16 days. That went into a recovery of another 41%. Mabilis po yung recovery, but that recovery has faltered. We're now less than 30% up from that very low today. And based on what has happened yesterday and today, nandun na po tayo, balik na tayo agad sa negative tayo more than 25% of the year. And if we're going to be looking at the high of the market in 2018, we're way far, about 35+% lower than that. So what is happening here? The economy has actually turned for the worse. The second quarter is going to be bad, and the recovery quarters of the third and the fourth that we're expecting would probably weaken forward a bit. So, dito nyo makikita na yung ating mga expectations parang mas mabigat pa kasi tumagal eh. Tumagal yung quarantine protocols eh. So, you now know that, the forecast for 2020 is very different. If you look at capital formation from a plus 2.5 is minus 24 now. And the only silver lining here would be government spending. So technically, you will have to look at the combination of GDP growth, -6 ang forward indication po ng ating mga kaibigan from ATR Asset Management. You know, we respect them a lot. They're really one of the best, if not the very best in this country when we're looking at the local marketplace. Sa kanilang isip nila, hindi na accurate yung -2. Kasi there was a time about a month ago when people said we're gonna end the year at -2. For them, they're now looking at -6, which means the second quarter will be negative double digit and high negative double digit. It can be a surprise for many. But the focus is not only on that. The focus is on interest rates. Kasi ginagamit nilang stimulus, monetary policy. So if you're going to be looking at it, rates are actually low now, 2.25. We never imagined rates to be as low as this. And the reserve requirement of banks has been lowered by 200 basis points. So ano pong ibig sabihin nito for many of you? 200 basis points taken from reserve requirements actually releases trillions of pesos plus the monetary policy, the guiding rate being lower. Trillions yan. Okay? Unfortunately, parang hindi po babalik sa economy yan dahil sarado pa eh. Sometimes that's the critical thing to even mention here. The stimulus, if it doesn't have fertile soil to land on, di ba? Naririnig po natin ito, you know, you sow some seeds, they fall on, you know, stone, they're not gonna grow. Ganon din po ito. While we're doing a lot of stimulus, para pong hindi masyadong Keynesian, ano? Parang kasi pag Keynesian, spending dapat. And I guess that's where the government should be headed towards the later half. Real spending so that the money will be distributed over and above just lowering the rates, maybe even lowering taxes so that people can start spending. So with that, anong outlook ng World Bank? World Bank actually is still very much positive, no? Ang tingin ng World Bank, -2 lang tayo to -3.6. We're in the middle of the pack as far as the ASEAN 5 is concerned. Sandwich tayo between, you know, Vietnam, who has done very well in handling this COVID situation, Indonesia because of its very huge domestic market. And ang tail end po niyan are Singapore and Thailand. Singapore being such a small economy in terms of number, no? Big economy in terms of numbers, but small population, very small domestic economy. So that will be challenged as countries close down. Thailand po because of their heavy reliance on tourism. So mas hard hit pala, sabi ng World Bank, ang mga first world countries. You will see, -8 ang prediction sa kanila, even for the US and for countries like, you know, those in the European zone. So, makikita nyo, this is what's happening to our market. Alam nyo, Manila has missed this rally. Nag-rally po tayo pero it didn't continue. But for the other markets, no, emerging markets, ASEAN markets, talaga pong tuloy-tuloy yung recovery nila. In fact, if you're going to be looking at Asia ex-Japan, they're already higher than pre-March numbers. Full recovery na po sila. Yung iba, -4, -2. Very close. Tayo, -25 na po tayo for now, no? So, nahuhuli tayo. This is a function of two things. Number one, maybe the sentiment of the way we've handled those COVID cases, and the other is looking forward to a much delayed reaction for the market because of the quarantine protocols getting longer. So this is quite a worrisome picture for the market, especially for stocks. So as, you know, Atram has presented it, parang ang tanong is, what should happen? Ano ang dapat mga gawin ng gobyerno? So if we're aspiring for a U-shaped turnaround, be it a long U or whatever, kailangan daw po may mga mangyari. Number one, fiscal stimulus have to be passed third quarter. Okay? Instead of meddling with a lot of other crazy things, Congress should be able to pass measures for the stimulus come third quarter. Dapat po mag-agree sila ng ating tinatawag na economic team. Mag-agree sila para, yung sabi ko nga, Keynesian. Hindi lang basta-basta monetary policy, kailangan talaga spending. Kailangan direct to the people, no? Worrisome because later I hear even yung SAP na hindi na-distribute ng buo, parang puputulin na rin dahil wala na daw pera. So, very difficult yun. Kailangan mag-release tayo ng bagong pera. That fiscal stimulus will have to be substantial enough to drive consumer and industrial confidence. Consumer, industrial, and investor confidence. The GCQ will have to be lifted in August. If we don't lift that, all more that our delay will happen, that the recovery will be delayed. Kasi sabi ko nga po, once you lift that quarantine protocol, it doesn't mean that we're all going to be out there to dine, to spend. Hindi yan eh. Pakiramdaman pa yan. So baka pag na-lift yan ng August, sisipa ang economy maybe November, December na. So there would be a lag. So kailangan magawan po natin ng paraan na ma-lift agad yan. Sustained rise in COVID infection should be put in check. So saan po naka-hinge ang ating recovery? Okay? PE forecasts are hinged on two things. The COVID infection outlook and the fiscal stimulus. Okay? Ang babantayan po natin would be three areas. Banks, conglomerates, consumer, and property. No? So property, banks, and consumer. All told, in the Philippines po, ang tawag din dyan conglomerates. Kasi ang mga nandyan sa mga industries na yan are our biggest companies. No? And I'll show them to you later on. Their impact is vast and it's comparable to any other country. I think in the Philippines talagang dependent tayo ang index natin sa mga groups na yan. No? Earnings expectations are kind of bearish, but there are several linings. Sabi ko nga po, may mga konti ng upticks. No? Hindi pa tayo bukas, but we see certain things that are good that are happening. I'd want to share this with you. Report po ito ng Metro Pacific. No? You will look at this. These are what we call key utility indicators. No? Siguro po, nararamdaman ng iba sa inyo. Traffic na agad eh. Hindi pa nga bukas ang ekonomiya, traffic na agad. Bakit? Kasi talagang ganun tayo. No? Look at this. Yung North Luzon Expressway, the blue line is 2019. The red line is 2020. Take a look at that. Bumalik na tayo dun sa level ng 2019. Subic, Clark, Tarlac, Esitex. Halos pabalik na po siya dun sa blue line. You see a great recovery from April, May, and June. Same thing with Cavitex. Di ba? Halos babalik na po siya dun sa blue line na traffic that we see. Vehicles that ply these highways since last year. It's a great indicator because it gives you activity. Energy. Look at this. Energy has been drifting upwards, really strong to a level where it's even stronger than April of last year now. Close to April of last year. Okay? And syempre po sa tubig, halos parehong-pareho lang ng last year. Kahit naman quarantine, we continue to take a bath, we continue to drink water. So water po, hindi masyadong nagbago. Energy, dyan po, medyo negative, but hopefully that curve moves upwards. What is the driver of that? Again, it's the closure of manufacturing firms. Where we're so limited to what we call essentials. So, yung mga manufacturing at industrial po natin, hindi pa bukas. That's the reason why energy sales or power sales haven't, really moved up as much as traffic, as much as energy and water. LRT hasn't moved up as well because it's largely closed. And I think all of you know there was a debacle that happened there a few weeks ago. Think about this. Lagi pong sinasabi sa akin, Rexbet ganon. May problema tayo sa COVID. Ang US naman may problema rin sa COVID. Feeling nga namin, mas malaki pa ang problema ng US. Pero bet ang US lumilipad. Ang US, ang stock market, very buoyant, very energetic. Yung iba naririnig namin, all-time high. Bakit sa Pilipinas, negative tayo? Over and above our COVID situation, over and above maybe the questionable confidence that people have on government, hindi po yun ang talagang dahilan eh. Let me tell you why other markets are going up and while the Philippines is also being held back. Kung makikita nyo ito, blue line, Dow Jones. Green line, S&P 500. Black line, Nasdaq. Bakit po lahat yan nag-i-increase? Kasi po, most of these indices, most of these markets have what we call technology companies backing them up. The biggest companies that are components of Nasdaq, S&P, and Dow are now technology companies. Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google. Habang close down po ekonomiya, lahat yan kumikita eh. In the Philippines, rarely do we have these tech-related companies listed in the market. The closest we can get to them would be what? A few essential, goods companies like Pure Gold, retail. Yung retail, non-discretionary, yung essential. Pangalawa, siguro telco. Hindi pa din kasi telco, while we consume more data, they also missed out on their growth. Sinong bumibili ng bagong cellphone? Sinong bumibili ng bagong SIM card? So, unlike Amazon, Amazon's flying high because its entire business is hedged online. So, habang close down ng different states in the US, si Amazon, malaking-malaki ang nagiging kita. Can you just imagine, isipin nyo na lang kung ang Shopee at ang Lazada listed in the Philippines, palagay ko lumilipad din yung mga yon. So, technically, you will have to look at our situation. Most of our companies are in what we call traditional businesses. Di ba? Tingnan nyo, industrials, gaming and leisure, property, banks and conglomerates. So, makikita nyo ang negative nandun sa gaming, industrials, power and utilities. Pero pagdating sa impact sa PSE, ano pong pinakamalaking negative impact? Property, banks and conglomerates because they have the highest weighting in our index. So, their bad performance earnings-wise is actually dragging the physics lower. Wala po tayong Amazon, wala tayong Google, wala tayong Apple, wala tayong mga ganong kumpanya. Di ba? Ang mga companies natin, look at this index. 72% of that index is made up of all of these companies. No? For those of you who are, very fascinated with acronyms, our good friend Philip Hagedorn shared his acronym for the Philippine PSE composition. Sabi niya, kailangan tandaan lang natin, GATAS. If the US will say FANG, sa atin, GATAS. GATAS, ano yung GATAS? Gokong Wei, Aboitiz, T, Ayala, C. Pag pinagsama-sama nyo yun, more than 72% of our index is actually made up of those families and their businesses. Okay, so what are the expectations? Ang baseline expectation po ni Atram would be at 7,400. If we're optimistic, if there is a turn for a great recovery by the third or fourth quarter, pwede daw mag-8,400. But there's also a downside of 5,600. Medyo malapit na po tayo doon. Actually, as I looked at my monitors before we started this talk, nasa 5,800 na po tayo, which is a support that if it doesn't hold, can get us down to 5,500. Kasi alam naman po natin ang nangyari sa SONA yesterday. So, hard hit ang ating mga telco ngayon. Na-mention uli ang mga Smart and Globe. And since they're the ones keeping the index up, and then they got hit today, so yan po ang dahilan kung bakit bumaba din yan. Now, this is a double whammy for many. It's our fixed income instruments getting lower in two ways. One, in interest because rates being low, and in values because inflation has to creep up because of the low rates, and the purchasing power of that base will also go lower. Kasi po, this is one thing that is very important to mention, that our government is using fiscal and monetary stimulus to prime the economy. Pagdating po dun sa policy rates, binaba, reserve requirements, binaba, talaga pong magpa-flood tayo ng liquidity into the market. And the government itself is already participating in that market, which means they are really very serious about increasing liquidity. At hindi na lang po short-term liquidity, pinahahaba na nila ngayon, as they participate in the bond markets and in the fixed income markets, they're now increasing the auction tenors. So, bumaba na, ini-increase pa nila yung tenor. So, that will impact people who are, living on interest, people who are expecting their cash flows to come from their time deposits. Okay, so let me summarize this. Let me summarize what's happening across the Philippine equity market. Obviously, there is increasing volatility, so many factors driving that. Valuation dynamics. In the second quarter, we're valuing our companies still using the earnings projections from last year. By the second quarter, we now have a first half outlook. That will now be utilized in forwarding the earnings for the year. that will require us to revalue our prices. Ang ating pong fund managers, ang expectation kasi, PE pa din, pero PE based on old E. Based on old projections of earnings. Pag naging dynamic po yan, nakuha natin yung first at second quarter. Pag pinroject nila yan, in fact, with a very bad second quarter, pag nagkaroon po ng realignment sa valuation, bababa po ang ating expectations for the year. So the factors that will drive direction even hang in the balance. COVID infection, handling of the COVID pandemic, and the stimulus. All of these are hanging in the balance. How about fixed income? Mas nakakalungkot po actually for me ang fixed income. Dahil for me, equities will always present opportunities pag bumabagsak. You know, that's been my experience. I've been through many crises that has actually blessed me in many ways. But the real output, the real issue that I have would be on the fixed income side. Kasi yung mga umaasa po sa interest, no? You notice it already. Once you renew, you're getting lower and lower interest. You're getting lower and lower interest. What is worse here is this. Yung principal na nandun, magiging lower din ang value. So double whammy kayo. Okay? That is the reason why for the people who are in fixed income, you'll have to be more creative. You'll have to be more creative in increasing your level of cash flow and also projecting a bit of growth on that base. Kung hindi po, we will be in a precarious situation moving forward. Especially if you're retired, you will now face the risk of having not enough. So very clearly, you'll have to look at that portfolio of yours and maybe be creative enough to move the needle on certain decisions. The government stimulus will be focused on liquidity, and that's going to hurt people who are living on interest. The inflation rate will move higher. We're going to be in a higher inflation environment once this thing recovers, and we will have to move part of our assets into hard assets also. And then lastly, while rates are low, banks will be selective. So we have to keep our powder dry in terms of having enough liquidity to take advantage of opportunities. Mahirap din po yung walang pag-take advantage ng opportunity. The property market, I've been asked many times. In fact, I've done forums for some property companies and property brands, of course. Secondary market will offer distressed sale opportunities. Sa akin po, hindi ko nakikita yung distressed sale sa primary. Yung mga pre-sale, they will hold their value because our property companies are actually strong. Okay, sa secondary po yan makikita. Property developers, ang kanilang strategy will be to offer better deals, no? To lower the kind of commitment required, pero they will offer you the ownership. Okay? So, we will have to take care of those opportunities as well if they do get on the table for many of us. So, question, ito na po yung most important part for me. After a market update, what's in it for us? Is it still a good time to invest or is it time to avoid the market? Should we wait? Lagi ko sinasabi ganito, we cannot manage the weather. We always manage our ship. We're the captain of our ship. In fact, volatility is always a friend if we know what we're doing. So, think about the most important considerations of investments. Goals, risk appetite, okay? Our own acumen, and maybe the attitude we have on those investments. All of these are internal to us. All of these are internal. And because most of the considerations are internal, maybe instead of looking at the market, we will have to look internally at what needs to be done. Okay? It is when the night is darkest that the stars shine brightest. It's actually a quote that I always go back to, and I'm always happy because looking at crisis puts me in very opportune situations. I look back at my track. I've always looked at the crisis to be the periods where I've generated much growth in my portfolios. Lagi ko nga pong sinishare, history always repeats itself. Okay? History repeats its lessons from people who are not willing to learn. So, kailangan po matuto tayo sa mga nangyari na at nangyayari pa. So, I tell people, it's all a matter of perspective. This will come to pass. Think about 3 to 5 years from now, then your idea about COVID will be very different. Your idea of COVID will be very different if you think 3 to 5 years from today. As we think today, And 6 months from now, then we're always going to be solely focused on COVID. Yan po ang magiging sentro ng ating pag-iisip. Yan ang magiging sentro ng ating tinatawag na decision making. Pero pag tumingin tayo ng mas malayo, perspectives will change. There are positives. And those positives will remain to be positives. Ngayon lang po ako nakakita ng crisis na ganito, na mababa na ang interest rate, mababa pa ang exchange rate. These are the two biggest killers for business. Interest rates and the exchange rate. In 1997 and in 2008, that hurt us a lot. I don't see them now. In fact, surprisingly, the government is even supporting the dollar. Sinusuportahan pa ho ng dollar kasi masyadong lumalakas ang peso. Baka maging 49, 49.50, delikado naman, kawawa naman yung ating mga OFWs and their families. So, minamanage pa. And why can the BSP do that? Because record level po ang ating gross international reserves. So, we have the muscle. We have the fundamentals and the levers that the government can use. So, malakas po tayo compared to 2008 and 1997. In terms of the overall market, there is low leverage. Hindi po tayo as highly leveraged as 97. Our non-performing loan rates is hovering between 2 to 3%. Doble na po natin yan. Let's just say we double it. What will happen? 6? Do you know that in 1997, that's over 10%? Hovered between 10 to 12% in 1997. Kaya po ang lalim nung tinatawag na real estate crisis at that time. Today, I don't expect the real estate crisis to be as deep as that because of interest rates, because it can be viewed by investors as opportunity. Okay? Business and industry adjustments. Di ba? So makikita nyo ngayon, even the biggest companies have changed their platforms, they have changed the way they've dealt with business, they even changed their product lines to adjust. Most of these things will be there to stay. It will strengthen these companies moving forward. Ang lagi ko akong sinasabing example, Chicken Joy. Sino sa inyo ang nag-isip, bibili ng Chicken Joy na frozen? In 2019, we never thought that. Today, there's frozen Chicken Joy. You think after COVID, we're not going to be ordering frozen Chicken Joy? Frozen Chicken Joy will be a part of that staple. And guess what the margin of Jollibee is on that? Hindi kanilang kuryente, hindi kanilang gas, hindi kanilang mantika sa inyo. Oh, di ba mas okay? So as businesses also creatively adjust, that will put them in great situations moving forward once this thing comes to pass. And the biggest for me is that last one. I've left the best for last, the demographic variable. This is the reason why World Bank and IMF came up with a study and said the 10 countries that will do best after COVID includes the Philippines. We're one of the 10 countries to invest in post-COVID. And why? Because of this demographic variable. 100 plus million Filipinos, average age of 23, median age of 24, all contributing to an economy, all just looking for opportunity, and higher literacy rate, higher language proficiency. So makikita nyo lahat yan, all pluses. Kaya po post-COVID, ang masirap yung matatandang economies. Italy, Spain, Japan, yan po ang mahihirapan mag-recover. But the Philippines will be one of the fastest of the blocks. This is what we have to deal with. Ang problema po natin hindi market. Ang problema natin, sarili natin. Okay, you've heard Warren Buffett say this. You've been hearing about this quote many, many times. Be greedy when others are fearful. Be fearful when others are greedy. Easier said than done. Why? Because our economy is not matched with our emotion. Emotions have a very different way of acting. Sometimes, it's actually a forward indicator. So, ang nangyayari, before a recovery, di ba, nandun yung despondency, nandun yung capitulation. So, ang sinasabi ko, from optimism to optimism, merong euphoria. Merong despondency. Cycle po yan. That's what we want to manage. That is what we want to manage. And if we don't manage it, we will be doing fatal investment errors. And these are the errors that I'm seeing today. These are the errors I'm seeing today. Ladies and gentlemen, nakikita ko po ito in what's happening to this market. Number one, people are gambling. Bakit hindi? Umaakyat, bumababa ang stocks 20%, 30%. Talagang pwede kang mag-scalp. Talagang pwedeng pumasok-labas. But I'll tell you this, and I was being generous in one video. Sabi ko, ang traders, 80% of the time, lugi yan. My friend Edward Lee says, it's even generous. More than 90% of traders lose money. Less than 10% actually make money consistently. And people are gambling. They're not investing. Let's stop that from happening. Again, it's the emotions that sway us. And these two other points, anchoring and herding. You know, we're human beings. If we don't have references, we create them. Ideas like, it will not go lower than this. Oh, this is a V-shaped recovery. Yung mga references po na yan, haka-haka lahat yan. You know what matters? It's how confident we are in what we believe in. So, pag mali yung belief system mo, at nakisali ka lang sa iba, you know, I'm following that up with the term called herding. Sumali ka lang sa iba. Diyan ka lalong madadapa because you don't know what you're doing. Alam niyo po, nakakatuwa when people act because others are acting. Oh, nagbenta sila, kailangan magbenta din ako. Parang doon po nagiging mali. You know why? Kasi, hindi natin tinatanong, ba't ba sila nagbenta? Yun din ba ang paniniwala mo? Nagbebenta ba sila dahil iba-buyback nila? Kaya mo rin bang i-buyback? When? Alam mo ba? See, when we ask ourselves those questions, it stops us on our tracks. What are we doing? Why are we doing why we're doing it? Why are we doing what we're doing? When we're into herding, this is the most fatal belief system that I'd want to share with you. Ito yung they should know something I don't. Wow. Somebody buys a stock, I should buy too. Maakyat They should know something I don't. Alam niyo nakakatuwa, marami dun sa bumili, wala ring alam So the gamblers are going to be losing big time here. I'll tell you, trading is not gambling. Trading has rules. Trading has programs. Trading has risk-reward spectrums. If we're following the herd, we're gonna get hurt. Because people with experience will get the money of the gamblers with no experience. People who are gambling will give their money to the experienced people and they will get experience in return. People without the experience will buy experience. It's going to be a very hard lesson. So let's stop that. Overreacting to news. Oh, umakyat yung COVID. Benta na uli. Oh, nag-improve. May vaccine. Wow! May phase 3 vaccine na. Bili na tayo. You know, why will you have to base investment decisions on news? Don't you have to base investment decisions on your goals? On your risk appetite? On your decided asset allocation? These are the more fundamental basis for investment decisions. Not the news. The news will always change. There will always be what we call a flavor of the month, a flavor of a quarter, a flavor of the year. Your investing will not be seasonal. It has to be a firm path about a certain direction, which is the achievement of your goals. Very important na tandaan po natin yan. Ito pa isa nakakatuwa. We punish ourselves with the decisions we make or don't make. And when you're conscious of this, when this is one of your frailties, be sure to put yourself in check because you will never be happy. Yung iba ho talaga hindi magiging happy. Umakyat, sana bumili ako. Bumaba, sana binenta ko. Hindi ka magiging happy talaga. Yung iba nga nakakatuwa Bumili, umakyat, hindi pa rin happy. Bakit? Sana mas malaki binili ko. You know, there will always be a wrong thing in what you've done. And that's the reason why I don't do mark-to-market every day. Hindi ko po ginagawa yan. And that's also the reason why I invest in mutual funds. Being an experienced investor, I still invest in mutual funds. Why? Because I want benchmarks for myself. I'd want people thinking long-term to match up with the thinking that I also do. I put them together. I'm not gonna punish myself for indecision or decisions. And the last thing that you can do that's worse is to stop your investing. It's better to take away the emotion and just to invest continuously. What is wealth management? Let me define it. Full-scale needs-based management that assists individuals and families in 3 stages of life: accumulation, preservation, and transfer of wealth by customizing the right product solutions to meet goals and objectives. That's a mouthful, but we have to manage ourselves based on that. Where are we in our phase of our financial life? Ultimate objectives, dalawa lang yan eh. Okay, a fulfilled life and a sustainable legacy. Are we living life in our terms? And I'll tell you this, you live life in your terms if you have the financial freedom to do what you like. Sometimes we don't live life on our terms because we don't have the financial capability to do it. You have the responsibility to put yourself in that financial capacity to live the life you want. That is absolute freedom. But on top of your own life, you also have to think about the lives of people you will leave behind, and that's the reason why you have to think about legacy. That's the reason why you have to think about making that sustainable. So, in so doing, we now characterize the kind of investing we should be doing. It should be strategic investing. And strategic investing is an active, continuous discipline where investors' decisions are based on goals, risk tolerance, and future needs for funds or capital. Wala pong nakalagay dito about markets, about growth, about crisis, about volatility. In fact, if you do strategic investing, you're supposed to negate all of these movements. You're supposed to lessen and remove the impact of negative risk on your portfolio. And how do we do this? See, in many of my forums po, ginagawa ko yan, pinipresent ko yung concept eh. Pero dito sa Ramper, we'd want to make it, a step forward. We now want you to execute on it. Why and how can we do this? By managing what we can manage. Let us not manage the economy. Let us not manage fundamentals. That's for economists and for governments to do. What do you need to manage? Yourself. You have to manage yourself. And let's not think about this as a metaphor, making big shifts, moving up. Mali po yun eh. Moving up, the metaphor that you have is a transmission. The power of a car does not come up from the transmission. You don't do one thing and shift to the next. No, you fire on all cylinders. What's the difference between a Ferrari and a Vios? It's the power of the engine. It's not just how the fancy face of the car looks like. The aerodynamics is just there to enhance the speed, but the speed is born out of the engine. What are you firing on? Unfortunately, many Filipinos are blessed by the Lord with 8 to 10 cylinders. But what do? We fire on 4, 3, 2, and many people fire on 1 cylinder. And that's why we're moving worse than a Vios. As a country, we're not prosperous. I always say this, we can only be a prosperous country if we have prosperous individuals and families. And this is the reason why we at Ramper want to do this continuously. Want to be able to handhold people so that they can get from levels of financial freedom to the next steps. Very important. The power of a car is defined by the engine. It is not the transmission. So you fire on all cylinders. But what is the Filipino doing? One stream of income, all streams of expenses. Diba? You're told by your parents, study well, get a job, get the salary, and then create a good family, spend the right amount. Hopefully you can retire sometime in your twilight years and enjoy life. Is this the way to go? One stream of income, so many avenues for expenses. And that's the reason why the Filipino will always be running on a treadmill. The Filipino will be running on a treadmill because this is the way we manage our financial lives. What should be? And this is what Ramper says. You have to have multiple streams of income. Not just to fend for your expenses today, but to focus on your objectives for the future. Having a fulfilled life and a sustainable legacy. Ito po kung makikita nyo, lahat yan, stock market, royalty, savings, insurance, business, real estate, bonds, mutual funds. 8 cylinders pa lang yan. Can you just imagine if you have 3 of each? And that means you have 24 sources of income? What will your base be if you have 24 sources of income? You know, a friend just texted me, Rex, I'm about to lose my job. What will I do? Why will you have to wait for you to lose your job to think about other income sources? We have a lot of friends at the onset of the ECQ. Ano kagad ang inisip? You know, I can go back to baking. I can go back to doing this and doing that. I even tell people, have an inventory of your talent and what you can do best. And make sure you can earn from those while we're in this situation. You have to create new sources of income. You don't have to wait to be taken out of a job. Multiple sources of income. See, there is no growth in the comfort zone, but there's also no comfort in the growth zone. We always think about business being risky, investing being overwhelming and difficult. But we have to learn. Ulitin ko po ito. This is a very, very important, powerful statement. Prosperity begins here before it goes to the pocket. Prosperity begins in the mind before it gets to your pocket. You have to learn and you have to do what you need to do. And the first move for us is to expand earning potential. If you're looking at our video, if you watch our videos in YouTube, we have a YouTube channel. Pinresent ko po dun yung 5 simple steps of wealth creation. This is the first step, but a very important step. After this, syempre, we still have to manage our budget, lower our lifestyle so that we also have an excess, accumulate that and grow that excess, do it with purpose and enjoy the process. But this is the most important step. We have to realize there are 2 sources of our income, active income and passive income. Active income, born out of our time, our talent, our involvement. Passive is income coming out of our investments. There has to be a crossover point where our passive income should be able to exceed our active income. Sa umpisa, magkasabay sila. Man at work, man and money at work. Dapat dadating yung time, money at work na lang. You can still work though, but because you want to, not because you have to. And in so doing, when you have active and passive income going together, you can have an asymptotic line. It can be a higher level of slope, whereas your job, your salary is a linear line. And what are the things that we can equip ourselves with? What are the other streams of income? Earned income is what the Filipino knows. But let me tell you this, you are the bottleneck of the income that you're going to earn. You only have 24 hours a day. Yung ibang iniisip lang, you know, I can get another job, I can get another consultancy. Ano gagawin natin? Sobrang daming trabaho, hindi ka na matutulog. Hindi pwede. And this is why I want to share this very important secret with you. Very important secret. Lahat po ng wealthy, lahat ng mayaman sa bansa natin, imagine lahat ng kakilala niyong mayaman. Most of these guys did not do things on their own. They leveraged. Leverage is the key to wealth. You leverage on 2 areas. You leverage on capital, using the capital of others, and you leverage on talent, using the talent of others. So if you're going to be looking at earned income and everything that follows it, nagbibigin na po yung tinatawag na leverage dependency natin. Profit income is when we start businesses. Siyempre po, pag may business tayo, hindi lang naman ikaw. Kukuha ka ng empleyado, yung empleyado create value for you. So, swelduhan mo sila, but they create value for you. Can you just imagine, for a company with 100 employees, they're actually harnessing the talent of 100 employees, paying them to create value for the company. And sometimes the owner of the company would be a few people. Those few people can sleep and still earn money. Yun po ang importanteng pag-isipan nating lahat. Tanong ko sa marami, kumikita ka ba habang natutulog ka? Kasi kung kumikita ka lang habang gising ka, limited ang earning stream mo. If you have businesses, if you have investments, you will begin to earn money while you sleep. money is the best employee. It works 24 hours without complaining. Di ba? So, kung kumikita ang investments mo habang tulog ka, at kung nagtatrabaho ka, kumikita pa rin sila, ibig sabihin, double barrel ka. Mas malaki yung increase ng kita mo. But you see, we don't do that. And that's the reason why we fail, or maybe we always fall short, and that's why we always work. We're on a treadmill, as I've said. Royalty income is when you deal with a recipe that can earn you money long after you've actually put it together. Yung mga musicians po dyan, yung mga artists dyan. Di ba? If you compose a song, sing a song, you're still gonna be earning royalties long after you did your creation. Queen, up till today, is earning millions of dollars for its songs that were composed and sung in the 70s. Books. You can write books and share your experience with others. And as long as your books are getting patronized and bought, you will always have royalties. Rental income. You buy 1, 2 units for rent. At first, involved ka pa. Aayusin mo, i-interior decorate mo, paparenta mo. Pero pag may nagre-renta na, renew na lang ng renew ng lease. Di ba? Wala ka ng involvement. Sabi nga nila, landlords earn while they sleep. It's the asset that gives you the money. Now, if I tell all of you, ask yourself that question, how much of my assets are giving me money right now? Unfortunate, Kasi nagtatrabahong Pilipino, pag bumili ng mga bagay, luho pa binibili. So yung luho na yun, hindi nagbabalik ng pera. So they're not actually investments. They're not actually even assets. They're called luxuries. But let me tell you, I'm not against luxuries. I want you to enjoy. Pero sabi ko, ang rule natin dyan, kurot, wag dakot. Pag dinakot mo, kasama principal, hindi ka lalaki. Diba? So very important po, we will have to look at the differentiation here. But the biggest drivers of wealth for the future would be interest income, dividend income, and capital gains. Why do I say that? Because these 3 streams of income, they don't involve every minute out of you. Any minute from you. Not involved. So kung maglalagay tayo ng pera sa mga instrumento na magbibigay ng interest income, dividend income, and capital gains, that means we are going to be having all of these returns while we rest. And for many of our friends who are already at that level, they continue to work for the legacy and the significance. Legacy and significance. Not for the money. Tapos na sila sa pera. They now begin to prosper others. They now begin to work on their legacy and significance. So work for these 3. And this is the reason why we tell people, please, have a firm bias for action. Hindi po pwedeng aral lang tayo ng aral. Kailangan we execute. In fact, they always say this, di ba? If you don't put money where your mouth is, you'll never begin to learn what you're trying to learn because you don't have anything at stake. Skin in the game is very, very important. And the reason why I'm so emphatic about this is because the commitment nowadays is not even big enough. In my time, when you want to invest in the stock market, when you want to be directly involved in investments that involve the economy, you have to have millions. Pag 50,000 lang ang pera mo, sinong broker na papansin sa'yo? Today, you can make that investment for as low as 1,000. Ramper Financials were into all of these. And I think you know that to be true. We can even help you if you want to do online stock trading. Kasi sabi ko talaga naman dapat may graduation, di ba? Aralin muna natin yung basics. Kumbaga, bumakas muna tayo sa big boys. Pag marunong na tayo, saka tayo mag-double dyan. But you know what we realized? May mga tao talaga hindi mo mapipigil. Talagang gusto eh. O sige, at least kung talagang gusto nyo, we can still handhold. Do it through us pa rin. At least nababantayan namin kayo at nagagawa natin ang paraan na tama yung gagawin nyo. Hindi kayo magte-trade just to trade. You will trade based on acumen. You will trade based on information. Let us not be the lemmings who will fall from that cliff. Okay? Let us not decide because just because everyone's deciding. We have to know what we do. So, in so doing, let me share this with you. we can start. All of the mutual funds, the reputable ones that are sold in this market, can be offered to you by Ramper Financials. The IFAs, our independent financial advisors, our friends who've invited you today, know this. And you can sit down with them, start off a financial plan, start off a robust portfolio, and see what you can do with this. And the starting points are so laughable. Di ba? Soldivo Bond Fund, 1,000. Strategic Growth, 1,000. Alpha Opportunity, 1,000. If you want dollar investments, Sun Life is a good place to go. Voyager is a fund of funds. The best managed funds, BlackRock, Templeton, lahat nandyan. $1,000 lang. Tapos magdadagdag ka $200 at any time. You can do it. So you build up your base with managed funds so that you don't have to watch the market every day. And you start it with a low amount that you grow over time. I just put the numbers there just to make it absurd for many of you. But the truth is, you can start doing more. I'll just come up with an example here. Because, again, the Soldivo Bond Fund, congratulations to Atram, congratulations to us. It's the #1 performing bond fund in the entire country. You include UITFs, the best performing intermediate bond fund, including UITFs. Okay? Pero bakit ko sinasabi ito? Dahil, alam nyo, sa mutual funds, lahat ng tao excited sa equities. Lahat equities. And mind you, I'm guilty of that. Pero, I realize now, lalo na sa akin, di ba? May emergency fund ako eh. Will our emergency funds have to be in an ATM account? Will our emergency funds have to be in a time deposit that loses value and doesn't give us interest? Tapos ito nakita ko, 7.75. Tax-free. Wala itong bawas eh. We're talking about January to July July 24, 7.75 na kinikita nito. Safe instrument, it's a bond fund. As much as there are safer instruments in the fund space called money market funds. So ano na-realize ko when I was advising some people? Ang yayaman din ng ibang kaibigan ko eh. Yung emergency fund nila, complete investment portfolio na ng ibang tao. Hindi ako nagbibiro. Totoo yun. But I realized if you put that in an ultimately liquid bank account, aren't we losing money here? What's the kind of emergency that you're going to encounter? Do you need millions for an emergency immediately? No. Dapat may konti lang na nasa ATM. After konti na nasa ATM, may konti din na nasa time deposit kasi yun ang second line of defense. Pero pag the emergency is a little bit more than that, then you can actually put money in money market funds and bond funds. Think military. Hindi po yung military pinalulusob lahat kagad ng tao. Di ba may tinatawag na lines of defense? And when we do that, we can actually put this money in higher yielding instruments that can protect our base. Can you imagine if part of your, fixed income portfolio went into money market and bond funds? Then maybe it can recover for the losses you have in some of your equity positions. And as I've said, these are even tax-free. We at Ramper Financials can help you even with the fixed income. It's not just the equity side. But you have to be able to get that opportunity, firm up on that responsibility that you have to create a robust and dynamic financial portfolio. Kasi hindi po kami naniniwala sa mga asset allocation na strategic, dynamic, weighted asset allocation. Trabaho ng fund manager yan. Para sa amin, sinasabi namin, have a goals-based asset allocation. Mag-asset allocate tayo based on your goals. In so doing, we take out negative biases. In so doing, we take out this mindset that we have to earn a lot. A lot of people focus on the earnings. Mali po yun eh. Hindi po lahat tayo mabibigyan ng trajectory for growth just by the earnings. Mas malaki po yung manggagaling sa contributions natin. If we have the time, can you do this? Just have an inventory, how much you're earning, so that you get to analyze where you're at. Because we at Ramper can actually give you an idea, hey, there should be a rule of thumb. They should be a rule of thumb. And we can be able to share this with you, handhold you, because if, like for example, if you don't have real estate yet, di dapat nasa stocks, bonds, and mutual funds yan. Or part of that also in your business. Then when you begin to have real estate, then nababalance off mo na. But the important thing is this, your function of capability is function, well hedged on your situation as you start. And you have to start in a very, very sound base to be able to head forward consistently. Everyone's all enamored and fixated with A, which is investment management, to earn more money from our placements, to earn more money from our investments. Actually wrong. Real comprehensive optimization happens when we look at many things, like wealth enhancement. How are you leveraging? Are you using other people's capital? How do we do that? Simple, bumili ka ng real estate, naka-pre-sell. So you're now an owner of that property by having a portion of the capital. Isn't that leverage? Eh paano, Rex, pag nag-balloon payment na, di iutang mo sa bangko. So your ownership will be hedged on a very small amount of ownership. 30% to 40%. Pero yung kita ng actual investment is 100% yours. So your equity is actually getting higher. Now, yung mga hindi pa afford ng real estate investment, edi umpisan muna natin sa mutual funds, umpisan muna natin sa stocks, umpisan muna natin sa fixed placements until we can be able to ascertain a cash flow where we can get bigger commitments for higher level investments. Pero we have to start. We have to start. We also have to start looking at taxes. How we can deduct our expenses. How we can use depreciation. Alam nyo lahat ito. Wealth and asset protection. Have you protected your assets from claimants? From maybe people that are after your children? Have you protected your assets? We have to create a moat around our portfolio to protect it. Even charitable giving is planned. Instead of just giving, you give in a way that's tax efficient so that you can give more. And lastly, legacy planning. What's the type of product or set of products that you can leave behind that can perpetuate you and your name? Even wala ka na doon, naaalala ka pa ng mga tao. So again, we at Ramver Financials, this is just a short webinar. We can deal with all of that in a future opportunity. But the important thing, ladies and gentlemen, is this, that we begin to realize that there is so much to be done just, on top of just coming up with opportunistic investing. Okay? I'd want to be able to promote this also. We are in YouTube. We have a channel there. You can subscribe. You can also see us in Facebook and in our website. But if you do have questions, please ask us. Please link up to people from Ramver, because we can really help you. And we can handhold you and get you through this complex. People just make it complex. I don't want to use the word complex because it's made to be complex. It's not. It is not complex. We can simplify many, many things. And as I end most of my presentations, I always end it with this note, that we anchor everything on what truly matters. If we know that we do what we do for people special to us, if we make them the cornerstone of each and everything that we exert effort on, we're never going to be needing inspiration. We're never going to be wanting for motivation. It's very important that we put the people who we love at the center of the things that we do. And because of that, we're going to be doing things more responsibly. That's my presentation for this morning. Friends, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to be with Sila. We're going to be opening up to questions. And I do hope this has been a learning experience for many of you. Thank you so much and good morning again.
Thank you so much, Boss Rex, for that wonderful session. Ang dami pong nagbigay ng mga questions. So we shortlisted some of the questions, but I think the two takeaways I have from your session is talagang, I've heard this from you so many times, but the fact that we are going here haywire, talagang now is a really good time to invest. Stay the course dun sa mga existing clients namin na ka-invest na, stay the course. And you mentioned about Soldivo bond fund, di ba? Very important mag-diversify na not all in equities. There's a Soldivo bond fund, tas meron pang dollars, Sun Life World Voyager if you are interested and gusto mo na talagang mag-diversify. So, I guess, boss, I'll ask you some questions here. Hot topic, no? We've chosen a few. So this question is from Herzon Ignacio. Given the SONA yesterday, hot topic, and the goal of breaking the oligarchy by the government, what is the impact of it to major companies and to the economy? So, okay, brief answer, boss. Can you help us with this?
Herzon, thank you so much for that question. No? I think we will have to do many things to be able to digest that. No, very important that we get to realize that there is a difference between rhetoric and what's actually done. I guess we know that we have a populist president, no, and then he's trying to fight for the small people, and quite frankly, that is done a lot also. In fairness to him, that has pushed businesses to be up on their toes to deliver the right amount of services. Pero on the short term, talagang may negative impact, talagang may takot, hindi ba? So, thinking nga na-mention ng Globe, na-mention ng Smart, abay, minus 3% kagad sila kanina when the market opened, no? Pero, let me say this quite straight, di ba? Kung gano'n ang Smart, gano'n ang Globe, nasan yung dito? Di ba yung third telco nga, di ba? In-approve na natin yun. Supposedly, by now, they should be operating. They're not here yet. So, honestly, as we cascade that idea that they have to improve services, I'll tell you this, both of them have strived to do so. Pero talagang ang mahirap, hindi lang naman galing sa variables that are controlled by these companies. It's not just capitalization. It's also licensing. It's also rolling out towers and stuff like that. So, to answer the question directly, I think there would be a short-term negative. A short-term negative. However, moving forward, diba? Narinig natin yung mga tira dati sa MWC, narinig natin yung mga tira dati sa ibang utility companies. But those are here to stay. Because quite frankly, the government cannot actually operate them. Can you imagine yung sinabi niya, expropriate ko yan and I will do something. Siyempre, ikaw naman matatakot ka, ayaw mo ma-expropriate. So you will do the right thing. You will try to catch up. So para sa akin, always think about it this way. It's a dynamic interplay between government, business, and the economy, and the people. Okay? So, interplay yan, dynamic yan. Okay? So, maybe, as I've said, in about a week or two, iba na naman ang pinag-uusapan natin. So, ganun lang yon. Now, as an investor, I take advantage of that. I take advantage of that. Kasi, ang feeling ko, ginagawa naman ni Globe ang kailangan niyang gawin, di ba? So, why would Globe you lose hundreds of millions of value today just because the president said that yesterday? So, as an investor, na hihimay ko, again, yung emotions, yung takot, yung fear, with the real numbers. Diba? So, yun ang importante sa atin. Does that stop us from making investments? No. We should continue making the investments. I hope I made sense, Sila. I hope I answered that question. Thank you.
Yes, very hot topic yan, boss. Another question we have here, Anonymous. Ang nag-question, what do you recommend for people who earn in dollars and spend in peso? And how do you manage this and not suffer from conversion losses from 52 last year, now it's around 49 pesos?
Okay, the way to deal with this is to diversify. Kasi kahit na kumikita ka na in dollars, dapat pagdating sa investments mo, there has to be a part of it still in dollars and there's a part of it that's already converted into pesos. Kasi kung lagi mong opportunistically titingnan ng exchange rate tapos nasa dollar siya, delikado ka eh. So habang maganda yung exchange rate, magpalit ka, meron ka ng base na peso, meron kang base na dollar, tas parehong kumikita. Tas pag talagang kailangan mo ng peso, doon ka sa peso portfolio dapat bumawas. Now, let me tell you my actual projection. Ang tingin ko kasi, by the end of the year, at best, hihina yan hanggang 51. Pero I think it's very strong. In fact, the government's trying to push it way above 49. Kung pababayaan natin yan, baka 49 na yan ngayon eh. So, the range will not actually be so harmful to you. I think it's going to go a bit higher to 50 and 51 at the last quarter. Pero yun lang ang yun lang ang aking suggestion. Try to start having liquid peso portfolios para doon ka huhugot, para hindi ka masyadong dependent on your dollar base. Para papalitan mo yung dollar base mo pag komportable ka lang. Kasi alam mo, ang pinakamahirap, magpapalit ka, mababa ang rate. Pero hindi ka mapaghintay kasi kailangan mo na yung pera eh. Di ba dapat hinuhugot mo yun dun sa peso na napalitan mo nung maganda ang rate. So, kahit kumikita ka in dollar, dapat diversified ka in terms of currency. Ako, kumikita ako in peso, pero may dollar investments ako. Kasi ayoko naman na pag lumipad ang dollar, nag-shrink din ang wealth ko. Di ba? So, dapat may balancing act ka whatever income source you have. Whatever type.
Correct. Balancing act. Talaga dapat. Thank you for that po. So, next question. I'm combining a question from Clifford Fortuna and an anonymous attendee. For an OFW aged 47, what mutual funds do you recommend? And for a millennial naman, in their 20s, what naman daw is your recommendation? Ayan.
Okay. Millennials, you will have a long runway. Okay? You will have a long runway. Sorry but this is the way I advise my own children. Sila, sinabihan ko, wala sila dapat bond fund. Lahat sila equity fund. Bakit? Kasi yung emergency funds nila na naka-fixed income direct, tama na yun eh. Why? Pwede naman silang lumapit sa akin, di ba? Kung talagang mga ilangan sila bet sila magba-bond fund. Yung equity fund nila, mahabang-mahaba ang runway nila, kung gaano man kababa yun ngayon, they will be enjoying the growth much later on. So, very important sa kanila na nakataya talaga sa economy yung kanilang pera. In terms of liquidity position, I want them to have, GCash accounts, ATM accounts. Yung talagang ultra liquid. So, wala silang masyadong in between because I can be that for them. Now, dahil mahaba ang runway ng millennials, like me, I look back 30 years. Dapat pala tumodo pa ako ng todo-todo noon, di ba? Kasi, in 20 plus years, many things can happen, especially for millennials without responsibility. Yung dating pinambabiyahin nyo, yung dating pinangyoyolo nyo, invest nyo na muna ngayon. Okay? I think this whole pandemic is gonna be good so that they're also going to be guided. Now, yung OFW naman, lalo na 40-ish, malapit na mag-50, malapit na, closer to retirement, dapat tayo medyo balancing act na. No? So, dapat may direct stocks, may equity funds, pero dapat yan, meron ka ng bond funds, meron ka ng fixed income. Kasi, it's a balancing act not just on the need, but also on the horizon. Kasi, imagine niyo magre-retire kayo. Lahat ng investment nyo nasa equity. Biglang nangyari ito. Hindi kayo makaka-retire. Diba? Pero, pag balance ang portfolio mo, meron kang bond fund, meron kang fixed income, meron kang stocks, nangyari ito. Tama, yung equity base mo mag-shrink. Pero you will have about few years because you have a fixed income base. So dito ka kukuha, hindi ka babawas dito, hindi ka malulugi. Kasi ito pwede mong pahinugin. Dito ka babawas. So you're actually what we call buying time. You have the capability to buy time so that your equity base still continues to grow. So balance ka. Now, pag retired ka, ititilt natin yan. Dapat yung equity base mo mas maliit than your fixed income. Kasi retired ka na eh. Dapat wala ka na masyadong risk. There would still be a position for growth, pero ang ina-assume ko, dapat pati stocks mo, dapat dividend yielding na. Kasi retired ka na eh. There is no room for too much risk unless sobrang laki ng portfolio mo, kayang-kaya mong gawin yun. Yun naman yan. Marami ring exceptions kasi. Sila, do we have more questions?
Thank you for that, boss. Nako, ikaw, boss, napakalaki na ng portfolio mo. Maraming nag-question because people are asking about rates. So what's your take on rate?
Okay. Very good question because we're in the middle of Ayala Land's offer, di ba? Yung IPO nila na A-REITs. REITs are just like mutual funds. Ang mutual funds, ang underlying security, stocks, bonds, marketable securities. Ang A-REITs, mutual fund ng property. Ang laman yan, mga building, mga pinaparent na properties. So in this particular case, 3 building yan ang ino-offer ng A-REITs. Bibili daw sila from the proceeds of the IPO, another building in Cebu. So, 4 na building yan. Ma-manage nila yan, ipaparenta nila yan, at ang kikitain yan, they will give out as dividends to the holders of the REITs. So if you look at REITs per se as an investment, makikita natin, number 1, it's a cash flow instrument. Kasi regular yung dividends niya. Alam mo, required by law na i-distribute nila ang dividendo 90% minimum. So every year, magdi-distribute yan. So cash flow rich ang REITs. However, paano naman yung capital gains? Yung capital gains niyan, very limited. Kasi di ba, paano lalaki yung value ng REITs? Dinidividend niya lahat ng kita. Tapos yung ownership niya, hindi naman kumpanya. Hard asset yan. Tapos, sabi ba, di ba sir, meron ding tinatawag na, appreciation. Medyo limited yung appreciation kasi wala namang kasamang lupa eh. Ang ipapasa sa REIT, building lang. Di ba yung building nagde-depreciate yun? But I'm not saying that capital appreciation is not going to be relevant. Meron pa rin konti. Hindi naman nawawala. Meron pa rin konti. But in fact, para sa akin, ang pinanggagalingan yan, yung tinatawag na escalation clause on the dividends. Kasi di ba, yung dividendo pwedeng tumaas eh. Dahil, kunyari, yung mga BPO na nakarenta dyan ngayon, pag nag-renew every year, may 5% increase. So, lalaki yung dividends. Ngayon, yung merkado, based on prevailing interest rates, i-correct nila yung presyo ng REIT based on yung dividend na binibigay. So, let me just be very firm about this. Ganitong mangyayari dyan. Pag mababa ang interest rate, tapos maganda ang dividendo ng REITs, tataas ang presyo ng value ng REITs kasi pabababain niya yung interest to match the prevailing interest rate. Now, it can go the other way around. Pag tumaas ang interest rates, kunyari wala ng pandemic, high growth environment tayo, baliktad naman ang iniisip ng gobyerno, pabababain niya yung interest rate para naman hindi maging inflationary. Ano mangyayari? People are gonna be expecting higher interest rates. The dividend yields of the REITs might not be enough. So, bababa ang share prices ng REITs. So, it goes the other way around too. So, para siyang isipin nyo, mutual fund na listed sa stock exchange.
Okay, boss. Thanks so much for that. I think we have last 3 questions I could entertain. Anonymous from our attendee, considering the worsening COVID scenario,
sorry, Sila, I did not get your question.
Downward trend. Is it still a good time to invest in equities at this time? Anonymous from our attendee, can you hear me, boss? Considering the worsening COVID scenario in the Philippines and the expected downward trend, is it still good time to invest in equities at this time? We always encounter this question, boss.
Okay.
So you can enlighten this group.
Alam nyo, lalo na nga for us that don't have the time na magbantay sa market, na tumutok. For us who probably will have limited capital, for us who would probably have this propensity to grow a base, alam nyo, mas maganda pa, wag nyo nang tingnan. Maglagay na lang kayo ng specified amount of time to be able to include or infuse investments. Regular investing helps. Peso cost averaging works. Kasi, pag masyado nating babantayan yung, okay, COVID, okay, hintayin natin ma-solve yung COVID bago tayo mag-invest. You will be too late. Kasi, alam nyo, ang stock market is always a leading indicator. Meaning, sentiment-driven yan, not exactly value-driven all the time. So, pag ang tao naging confident pa lang to invest more, prices have already increased. So, para sa marami, sa nagtatanong, sinasabi ko na pag ganyan, do not time the market. Ang mas importante is time in the market. What do I mean by that? Lagay na lang natin ang investment, let the fund manager deal with it. Ngayon, kung palagay nyo, gusto nyo gawin niya on your own, ganun pa din. Buy your stocks at specific times. Not exactly when it's right for you. Kasi pag news-based tayo, we will be making all of those wrong decisions. I'll tell you, even fund managers can be guilty of this, but let's learn from the very experienced ones. Let's follow through on, again, what we can control, and what we can control is our own behavior. It's our own discipline. So para sa akin, ngayon, honestly, bumagsak. Nag-i-invest ako ngayon. Nag-i-invest ako. Hindi ko yan pipigilan. Bakit? Nung mataas nga ang market, nag-i-invest ka. Ngayong mababa. Bakit hindi? Tanong ko sa marami ganito. Pag sale sa mall, all of us flock to the mall. Kasi sale eh. Pero pag sale sa stock market, lahat tayo umiiwas. Lahat tayo nag-iintay. We're waiting for can you imagine, ganito yung analogy. We're waiting for the mall to go back to regular operating prices bago tayo bumalik. Kasi hindi maganda to, sale eh. Di ba? Parang it's absurd. For as long as you stick to the companies that are well managed, in good industries, good brands, strong balance sheets, COVID will be a very easy problem to navigate.
So thank you, Boss Rex, for that. So I guess last question na lang talaga. This is from Vincent Yap. Hello to Vincent Yap. What is your 4 to 5 year forecast of the equities to end this Q&A session?
4 to 5 year prediction on equities is quite buoyant, no? Kasi unlike, let me just tell you why, when I get to talk to our friends, Marvin Hermo, Randall Chongson, Edward Lee, Bo Sanchez, our friends, so even those who are in IMG, alam niyo ang swerte ng mga taong nag-i-invest today. Kasi ang bukana ng kanilang investment horizon is a crisis. So think about starting your investments in 2008. Di ba? 2008 to 2013 was quite a great run. It was a great run. Pero pag tinignan mo yung 2015 to 2018, baka lugi ka pa. Di ba? So ngayon, going back to where I came from, I mean, whenever there is a crisis, tas ngayon ka mag-uumpisa, and I project markets coming from here, no, I'll tell you, easily yan. Minimum ko, 12%. Compounded for 5 years. Minimum ko yan, 12%. I think we're going to be even doing more. Why? Because after a crisis, you will really see good double-digit numbers. After 2008, yung 2009, 2010, ano yung increases in markets noon? 40%, 60%. And I think, sila, sinare ko naman sa inyo, di ba? Our very own Ramper portfolio, nung 2009, 2010, 100% yung kinita natin noon eh. Di ba? Kasi after a crisis, mas mataas ang kita dahil bagsak eh. For example, today, di ba? Magre-report ang mga kumpanya. Negative yan, second quarter eh. Negative yan. Double-digit negative. Sigurado na yan. Pero next year, ano mangyayari? Second quarter of next year, ano yung denominator? Is the second quarter of this year. E di syempre, lilipat yung second quarter of next year kasi yung denominator niya mababa. So, markets always do better after crisis periods. So, if you start your trajectory today, your rate of return will really be good. Your rate of return will really be, somehow fueled by a very, very low base. So, kailangan dito, ang tingin natin, sabi ko nga, pag 12% ka, compounded annually for the next 5 years, mahina ka. Mahina ka because I think you can be able to do that in the first 3 years. You can be able to do that in the first 3 years. 12% for the 5 years, kahit wala ka nakitain sa 4th and 5th year. When I see my trajectory in 97, in 2008, and even actually the best for me was 1984. The best for me was 1984. Doon talaga ibang klase. Pero ngayon, I think we have the opportunity to have a repeat of an average of all those three. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Boss Rex, for that. Thank you for all those who sent in your questions. We will surely take note of them and answer it as soon as we can, like looking for financial advisors, yung mga ganyan. We will assign someone to you. So please, thank you for staying. Ang dami pa nating attendees there. Thank you very much, Boss Rex, for everything that you shared with us today. Thank you also to everyone who participated in the event. We hope to see you all again next time. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ramper Financials. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and we hope to see you again. May God bless us all po. Thank you so much po.
Thank you, Sila. Good morning again, everyone. Thank you.